There is no war in Ba Sing Se, but the Dai Li were definitely aware of the war. This is the low point of the series.
If I was writing this is how I would end this.
Avatar Aang has finally let go of his worldly possessions, i.e. his love for Katara. Alright, Earthlings! Welcome back to the Thunder and Dice channel with you boys, the Thunder and Dice Brothers. And today we are back at you with not quite, but almost the best of Avatar, because of course the best of Avatar is Sozin's Comet, parts all of them. But for today, we're going to be focusing on Crossroads of Destiny, which is of course the chapter finale of Book 2 Earth, in which we discover whether Zuko will choose Team Avatar or Team Douchebag, if Aang will choose Katara or the world, and can Azula truly corrupt the Dai Li so quickly and so thoroughly that they will turn their backs on 100 years of war? But before we get into that, make sure you go down and like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our new upcoming videos. And Ian, please give us a quick recap of what actually happens in this finale so that we can either praise it or question it.
So, after leaving his training with the Guru, Aang and Sokka race back to Ba Sing Se to save Katara. Whilst in the city, the gang discover Azula is presently plotting a coup against the Earth Kingdom. Zuko and Katara are captured. In a final confrontation, Zuko sides with Azula, and together they duel the Avatar and Katara. Aang embraces the Avatar state, but is shot in the back before finishing the battle. Iroh lets them escape, and Katara heals Aang with the spirit water from the North Pole. As they fly away from Ba Sing Se, all is left in question. But the real issue with this episode, to me personally, is the coup. Why the Dai Li side with Azula, the enemy, someone they've been battling for 100 years, makes zero sense to me. It's the thing that infuriates this episode the most in my mind.
It doesn't make zero sense. It makes zero sense given the context, and the speed.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see subversion happening over a long time, but as far as I know, there haven't been secret Fire Nation operatives at work planting misinformation and doubt. They've been doing it themselves, I guess. But, you know, there is no war in Ba Sing Se, but the Dai Li were definitely aware of the war because they were the ones who were the protectors of that secret.
Yeah.
So they've been fighting that war in some measure, and they've been aware of its existence the entire time. So the fact that she can go in there in the span of a couple days, basically just subvert them all, not against just their own leader, but also the entire Earth Kingdom as a whole, and allow it to fall. Like this episode means that the Earth Nation has fallen. The kingdom of Ba Sing Se, the capital, is now in Fire Nation hands.
Yeah, this is like the equivalent of the Secret Service doing regime change in the United States and being completely fine with it and having no qualm about turning against their own people. It's the same equivalent.
And it all happens in the span of a week, and
Yeah,
not over the span of 8 years.
Yeah, exactly. You have like none of the subterfuge that you would need to slowly erode trust in like Dai Li having like eroded trust in like the government to then facilitate the idea that they could get behind the opposing leader. It's like Gorbachev coming in and be like, all right, Secret Service, take out Reagan. What?
And then just doing it.
Yeah.
It would be laughable. So it's kind of hard to imagine that this actually happens that way. So, fine. They had to make a way for... This is the low point of the series, right?
Yes.
You know, it's supposed to lead up to this great thing. Avatar Aang has finally let go of his worldly possessions, i.e. his love for Katara, maybe, his attachment.
Yeah, his attachment.
And so he's able to freely enter the Avatar state, and it's all epic, and it's an amazing scene, and boom, shocker, literally. And is he dead? He gets healed. So it's
a little, like, kind of heavy-handed. I mean, just, like, the way it all happens. I mean, I said this whilst we were watching, but not to step on the writer's toes, but if I was writing this is how I would end this show. So, well, I mean, season two. So, Katara would heal Zuko's scar. Then Zuko would turn against Katara after seeing the Avatar and help Azula try to capture or kill the Avatar. So then Azula would shoot Aang in the back. Everything plays out the same in that respect. Iroh allows them to escape, but then whilst they're flying away from Ba Sing Se, You have some spirit action magic. I would have Yue connect Aang to the ocean spirit to then give him a little bit of the ocean spirit's life, that Aang could come back to life because he was channeling the ocean spirit, or he's channeling the moon spirit through the ocean spirit in the North Pole. So you already have like a connection device already there, and then that would be why he wakes up. And it would also help explain why Katara is so hell-bent on not trusting Zuko. I mean, her idea of not trusting Zuko later on, you know, she was the first to trust him. She shot Aang. He shot Aang in the back, or like, well, Azula shot Aang in the back. So like the betrayal is extra doubly personal to her. But I think if you had done the scenario I just described, it would have been like the trifecta and made the Boiling Rock episode even better and more poignant when she comes back. Well, actually, not the Boiling Rock episode. Sorry, that's the dad. When they go hunt down the man who killed her mother.
It would have changed a lot about the way that they accept him as a group, because they've been like, she healed you, and then you turned around and betrayed them and basically kind of killed the Avatar, and then later on he takes credit for it. He doesn't as much as such take credit for it, but she kind of thrusts it on him, and he doesn't say no.
Yeah, and I assume that this is circulated in the Earth King, in the Fire Nation community. You'd be like, yeah, Zuko killed the Avatar. This is how great your crown prince now is. He was exiled for, I think the reasons are dubious on the Earth, like on the actual thing, because like in the episode when he goes away on like the Blue Spirit one, when Iroh is talking to the crew, they don't know why he was banished or why he has the scar. So that whole reason,
they thought the scar was from a training accident. They didn't know that it was all this, an Agni Kai against his own father.
Yeah.
There's all this like childhood emotional baggage that he's carrying around, and he thinks his entire worldview and he thinks his entire sense of being and self is wrapped up on his father's approval, and to gain his father's approval, i.e. his honor back, he has to kill or capture the Avatar, which is at odds with his own true moral compass, which he's constantly fighting against in the show.
Yeah.
He thinks that he knows which way is right, but it makes him angry and suspicious and tends to lash out at people. And that's why he ends up having to change his entire bending style later, because once he's aligned again and he's away from that anger side of him. But for this part right now, here he's still fighting against it. He's so close to following what he wants to do, and then the easy path of just going, instead of having to fight against his father and continue the struggle and basically turn his back on, you know, his heritage and his culture, essentially. Oh, it's much easier just to take Azula's hand, betray his uncle, and easily betray the Avatar and go back home again.
Fuck.
Yeah.
But this episode is only highly rated because of that part.
Yeah, it's
the entire lead up to it is really, really frustrating. Like, it's not a very long episode, of course. None of them are, and I know that it's episodic, so this is not like Monster of the Week.
No.
So we're kind of talking about this in a vacuum about the context of the entire season around it. This is the finale episode. It's always going to be a little bit higher rated, especially with that kind of an epic battle at the end. But the entire lead up to it just really, the foundation of this episode crumbles when it is all reliant on her taking away the agency of the Earth Kingdom alone, essentially.
Yeah, and there are multiple like fight scenes where Azula is just way too powerful in comparison to Aang and Katara.
The power imbalances
together.
are just weird sometimes. Like, sometimes Aang just looks so overpowered without being in the Avatar state. And then sometimes
he's just like a weak little bitch.
Yeah, and Azula is a prodigy, I understand that, but so is Aang.
Yeah.
So...
And the Dai Li have also really weird, varying levels of power. Sometimes they're completely useless, and then sometimes...
They're kind of metal bending almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the whole scenes when the five get taken out, those chains don't make sense because Toth is the one who creates metal bending. We know that they can't metal
unless
bend.
They're just chucking like ropes or chains essentially,
Unless
and then
there's
they just
like
wrap
rocks
around
inside
them
in the metal that they are bending that way. But even then, you still have to kind of show us this because it doesn't make sense. You know, it would kind of be like Khalad's Phantoms. Like, oh, by the way, these statues moving without knowing that they're bones inside.
Yeah, exactly.
You need this information.
Well, that's a completely non sequitur into the world of the Cosmere, which is a whole different topic one day.
That's another video, guys. Stay tuned for when we, talk about the upcoming Mistborn movies and everything else with Apple's deal with Brandon Sanderson. That should be a fun video, but that's for another day.
For now, let us know what you thought about that episode, the penultimate best episode. However you want to think about that. The second best episode, the second best story episode, as recorded by IMDb and you people who voted for it.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know what you think. What is your favorite episode in season 2 specifically? And what do you think about the finale, Crossroads of Destiny? How good is it? How bad is it? And how great is it that fucking Aang can come back from the dead?
Till next time.
Sayonara.
You got here, Henry, the famous Whiplash Wang.
What?
Huh?